Hello, Kansas City. Hello, America. And hello to the world. Welcome back to the Heart and Goal podcast. If you've been watching for a while, you know the drill by now. My co-host Benny Feilhaber is with me today. Benny, how are you?
I'm good. I'm in a new seat.
Yeah, we did.
I got to get comfortable.
Well, your old buddy, who, by the way, welcome to our guest, Ike Opara, two-time MLS Defender of the Year, and many other accolades, which we can run down in a little bit, joins us. How are you, Ike?
I'm great.
You stole Benny's seat when you came in, right off the bat, setting the tone. I appreciate that.
The producers put me here.
Nothing's changed.
I try to do, no, I'm not. I don't have any conflict in me. I just go with the flow.
So this is a reuniting of, to me, one of the great soccer podcasts of all time, the BSI show. That was really, my biggest memories are actually of listening to it during the pandemic, but that was about the time you guys had that thing really rolling. And so we get the band back together, we get these guys on the show, and before we get started with a little story time and all that, I just want to make sure to remind you all what this is all about and the calls to action here, as we call it in the business. So first of all, this Heart and Goal podcast is about the World Cup, Kansas City, getting you excited, getting everybody excited for this big event that's coming here this summer. If you're not from Kansas City, we want you to learn a little bit about the soccer culture and the history of this town. If you are from Kansas City, we're trying to elevate your pride for the town and your excitement for the event. So make sure that you help us spread the word. Subscribe to the show, like it, write a review, send letters out to all your friends, do all those types of things, and make sure you go back and listen to the previous episodes as well, because there's a lot of great guests that we've already had and much more to come. All right, so we got that out of the way. Benny and Ike, I was telling the guys when we were getting ready for this, I feel like two of the best friends that I saw during my time covering the team and all that. You guys always seem to have a vibe. How did that happen? Like, how did you guys get to know each other? What do you remember about that?
Well, I don't know exactly how it happened, to be honest. I remember we both came to Sporting the same offseason. Almost the same. It was really close to the same day. And, I mean, this is the story that I think most people probably don't know.
This is 2013, right?
This is actually December of 2012.
But going into the
2013 season. And I had a lot going on. I got married in December of 2012. I was actively trying to get out of New England at the time because I hadn't played well there. The team wasn't very good. My career was on a downward trend at that point, and I basically told my agent, find me a top team in MLS. I remember my top two options were Sporting Kansas City and LA Galaxy. I'd love to go to a top club because this could be it for me if I don't do well wherever I go. So anyways, fast forward, I got signed by Sporting Kansas City. They traded for me through New England and whatnot, and I was excited. And Sporting Kansas City at the time, I think in 11 and in 12, won an Open Cup in 12, and both in 11 and 12 had done well in regular season, but ultimately lost to Houston in the playoffs. And so I felt like they were on the verge of something, and I felt like I could help out. And then what was it? A day later, after they signed me, the news comes out that they signed Ike.
They traded for me, yeah.
And what I remember of Ike prior to 2013 in SKC was him in San Jose, and I thought he was terrible.
Really?
Terrible.
Yeah.
This athletic, tall center back that just boots it and heads it and,
plays kickball.
Doesn't really read the game. Just like,
it's so funny.
I'm like, it's just like this college American, athletic center back that does nothing but just head the ball around and is tall. And I was like, this is who we're signing. Like, after you signed me, this is who we signed.
I thought we were going to be good. They're signing this clown.
Like, the team is going downhill. We're going to be New England now again. Oh, no. And I was like genuinely disappointed. I was like, why do we sign guys like this, right? And then fast forward a month later or 2 months later into preseason, and very quickly thereafter, I started getting, I realized that my initial thought of him from afar was way off, And he kept proving it to me every single time. And I told him this stuff. I had to like wait.
How long did you play together before he told you? I thought you were terrible.
It had to have been a few years. There's no way I told him in 2013. I think it was probably
pretty early. I don't know.
No, I don't think.
I don't know.
It could have been 2013. Knowing me, it probably was relatively.
I think it was like the first day. Like, hey man, I think you suck. So
I don't know why they traded for you.
So that was the first, like,
he quickly found out that wasn't. So my time in San Jose, when he saw me, I'm sure it was not a good moment in my life, in my career. And so if he saw me at those moments, I can understand his take. But yeah, my initial reaction was coming to Kansas City, and then I saw we had signed him, and I was like, and funny enough, you were roommates on the road with, I think, Zach Solowski.
Yeah.
And so that's the guy I went to school with at Wake Forest. So I kind of texted him like, hey, what's this guy about? And he was just like, I don't know. All the things we know that Benny is now. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. I'm like, okay, well, hopefully he's cool.
Didn't he tell a story about me getting mad in practice one time?
Okay, so all these stories then start to trickle out. And so one of the stories he told me was New England, they weren't very good at the time, and no one could pass and trap, apparently. And during the middle of the practice, Benny takes the ball and just punts it off the field. And he's like, and everyone's freaking out, like, what are you doing? He goes, why? No one can pass the ball here. Doesn't it even matter? It doesn't matter. No one can pass. It's just like completely
need this ball. No one can
ruining exercise. And I was like, right? And so, anyways, but I got the sport in Kansas City. My first initial reaction was, this guy's annoying.
Right.
Like,
what do you mean, right?
Yeah. He talks
I know exactly what he's saying.
He talks all the time. Like, he's annoying. Whatever. He's got an opinion about everything. Just shut up and like let's move on. But that's like why we quickly love Benny.
How do you guys like me?
I don't know. But that's the thing. If everyone,
it's very inexplicable, honestly. But it's like, yeah, I want to hang out with Benny.
Yeah,
he's gonna verbally abuse me.
If people can't get past the first few layers, which is I understand if they can't, but if they do, everyone ends up loving Benny once you get past those first few layers because he's just authentic. He's raw. He says what he says. He believes what he says. Like, I don't know. It's fun to have a person like that in my. I can only have so many.
Right.
He's the only one. But no, it's
when you hang out with Benny, you're not gonna get too full of yourself. You know, like you're gonna stay grounded. But like the thing that I actually love, and I've told Benny this. I don't like playing guessing games when I'm hanging out with people.
Sure.
Like, what's this guy really think? You know, he's telling me one thing, but I think he's actually thinking something completely different, you know, or he's trying to manipulate me in one way or the other. It's like, whatever Benny just said, that's what he thinks. Like, and so honestly, especially like if he actually is paying you a compliment, you take it seriously because he's not just going to throw around fake compliments that he doesn't mean. But you also have to be able to take it when he punts the ball off the field and says, you can't kick the ball, you know?
Oh, well, I mean, just to, like, I'm gonna bow tie that conversation because I'm almost going to go from where I was at with Ike, right, when I first found out that he was coming to the team and what my thoughts were. And if I go all the way past it now, where Ike's been there for, when was it that you signed your last Sporting Kansas City contract?
I think it was 17, and I was there 17 or before 17, so 17 and 18.
So
Minnesota.
He signed that contract, and he had obviously earned a much bigger contract than he had been on, right? Because when he first came on, Colin and Bees were the two starters, and Ike played more than a handful of games in 13, but also provided cover off the bench, and then going forward, I think you got injured. Was it 14 and 15?
Yeah.
And then once he came back fully fit, I mean, he was a starter and he was, won Defender of the Year in 17 and earned a new contract. And then it wasn't, and again, I'm going to drag our good friend Fonte into this as well. But Fonte came in to Sporting Kansas City, and we all knew that his contract was higher than both Ike's and Beasler's. And I think at one point, and this whole story is really interesting because Ike eventually not only felt like he deserved more in that moment comparably to the other two guys, but in what MLS is like, you can't pay three center backs, right, an enormous amount of money. It's a salary cap league.
And there was an advantage to signing somebody from overseas. You could actually pay Fonte more money under the salary cap than you could a domestic player, if I remember correctly.
Already on the contract, yeah. at that time. But.
So
Yeah.
basically, what happened was you essentially had to get rid of one of Ike or B's. And obviously, Ike went to Minnesota and did really well in Minnesota. And for all intents and purposes, SKC has never recovered from that loss, in my opinion. That was the biggest loss from a player personnel standpoint in Sporting Kansas City's history, from going from what I would consider almost a dynasty team in the 2010s, right, where we won Open Cup 3 times in 12 and 15 and 17, won MLS Cup in 13, I think took first place in the conference a few times, and maybe Supporter Shield or close to Supporter Shield a few times. Anyways, we were in the playoffs for I don't know how many years, and then when Ike left, I mean, it's been very difficult to find that consistency, right? There's been a couple of seasons where the team has done okay, but for the most part, it's been incredibly inconsistent. And from the backline and defensive standpoint, I mean, we've never been the same kind of team. So it's that kind of full circle moment of, man, Ike, I can't believe we signed you. You suck, to you arguably are one of the most important players in club history.
Well,
so,
I was going to say, I thought it was going to be your LAFC. You're trying to force Bob Bradley to trade for me when it was kind of going down. And you're
everywhere I went, whether it was LAFC or Colorado after, I told both GMs at those places that Ike would be an integral part to that. To anywhere. I mean, really. And he went to Minnesota and he proved it there. I mean, you guys I think you went to the finals of Open Cup.
Yeah, should have won.
And the semifinals where you guys almost went, where you lost to Seattle, was it?
Yeah, I was hurt. I was hurt by that time in the year. But it's crazy. Yeah.
So
Won another Defender of the Year while you were there. Mm-hmm. We see how much sway Benny had with the front offices at these other places, by the way.
I think they ran further away from me.
A funny story is I told Porig in Colorado, hey, we should trade for this guy, whatever, blah, blah. And he said, no, Peter Vermees is going to want a king's ransom, was the quote for Ike Opara, which is probably true and deservedly so.
Hey, folks, Nate Bukaty from the Heart and Goal podcast here, and we're getting excited for the World Cup. And one of the great ways to be a part of it is the FIFA Fan Fest. The best way to get yourself involved is go to kc2026.com. You can get all the details and register right there. Live acts, entertainments, watch parties, connecting with the world's game. It's the FIFA 2026 Fan Fest right here in Kansas City. You know, honestly, your career, so I remember when I first met you was actually in Orlando, the preseason that you had gotten traded to the team. And Cappy, who was the PR guy at the time, I was like, they sent me down to cover the team, and I wasn't the play-by-play announcer yet, but they would have me come down and cover, training camp. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna have you do an interview with this guy we just got. And I actually think, and this is Cappy talking, he's like, I think he's got a chance to be one of the best center backs in the entire national. Like, he could be playing for the national team. He's had some bad luck with injuries, but if we can get him healthy, he's going to be this incredible player. So, I had no idea. So I'm like, okay, well, and then I had my eye on you from that perspective going forward. And so I've always known, you've had this amazing journey of these incredible highs.
Yeah.
And then incredible lows, almost all the lows coming because of some sort of bad fortune. How many times would you tear your Achilles twice?
No,
just once.
Once, 2 fifth metatarsals.
Okay.
Right ankle reconstruction. So my first 6 years had 4 season-ending surgeries, which is crazy.
4 season-ending surgery.
Like they would come in halfway through the year, or early in the year, once or twice, and just would miss the rest of the year. And I don't know. It was wild.
So, I think of a guy who's won multiple trophies in the highest league in his home country, who 2-time Defender of the Year, so individual accolades as well. But then I think, man, if he was healthy, this guy would have been a staple on the national team. There's still these could have beens. How do you square that? When you look back, do you look at it like, hey, man, I'm blessed because I had all these great moments, or I'm frustrated because it could have been more? Is a little bit of both? How do you look at it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think the fact that I made it 12 years is crazy, thinking about how I ended, first 4 or the first 6 years with out in IR. I told you you were crazy if I was going to make it 12 years, right? But then if I look at it, when I take a step back and I go, man, I was one of the best what if stories in this country from a defender standpoint, because I did accomplish so much when I was healthy, but I was only healthy half the time, maybe at best. And so there are moments I look back at like, man, if I had just had opportunities to just have 3 or 4 straight consistently healthy years, what that would have been. And at a good time, right? I think when I started to get some national team interest, it was that time when, they had just missed the World Cup and the whole transition of who's the manager, and then they wanted to go with Greg, and then the whole new youth route. And so that was when I was at my best form. And at that point in time, the national team was kind of treated, and maybe still is, like a youth team or a club team, whereas they want to get these young players and have them for a decade plus, as opposed to, winning competitions now. And so at the time, I was like, man, I understood it. I get it. Like, I'm not going to be a part of the national team because I'm maybe too old.
The timing isn't right.
And I'm not established. Like, Tim Ream was older, but he was established. And so they wanted to go with the experience. But then, years later, I was like, wait, kind of actually when I got into coaching in the national team, you should win now. Like, you have to win.
It's the men's national team.
Yeah, I mean, you can have some experimentation with depending on what your cycle is, but for the most part, you want to win. And so I looked at it like, man, I didn't get the opportunity that I should have, at least to go into camps when I was at my best, because that was the model and the idea that they wanted, which was the youth. And so there are times I look back and go like, if I just had an opportunity here, or if I just was healthy there. But honestly, I'm just grateful because the way my career ended and kind of the things that I had to go through from a physical standpoint to now, I'm just grateful to be feeling pretty good, and to have played 12 years with, had great experiences, met guys like Benny, yourself, be able to provide for my family and have freedom in certain ways. So I'm grateful in all honesty, looking back. But yeah, there are other times I'm like, well, I wish it would have been a little bit more. But that's life.
I feel like that's the case for a lot of guys.
Yeah.
I really do. Whether everybody goes through something. I mean, in professional sports is far from perfect. And I feel like there's I would say a vast majority of players that at the end of their career, if they're normal people, they're somewhat grateful for the things that they were able to do, which is abnormal in this world, right? The ability to play a sport for money that you love, etc. But there's always going to be moments where you look back and like, man, if that had just been like this, or if that had gone different, what could I have possibly done here? And where could my career have gone a little bit differently, maybe a little bit better than it was? I think that's normal, but I know Ike, and I know myself as well. And the one thing that we for sure share is we are incredibly grateful for what we were able to achieve and what we currently have in terms of, he said, freedom. That's exactly how I feel. Soccer gave me the freedom to kind of do what I want to do after soccer, right? Whether that is coaching, whether it's media, whether it's just hanging out and sitting at home with my family all day and spending time with my kids. Not everybody in this world gets to do that. So I think we're very grateful for that aspect. Okay,
so I've had a lot of fun doing this with every guy that's been in here so far, especially the ones that didn't grow up here. You grew up in North Carolina, right? Dad was a college professor at...
Taught some classes, but biomedical researcher.
Oh, biomedical researcher.
Don't sell him short.
I'll say. Apologies to the entire Opara family.
Dr. Opara.
Dr. Opara. Played at Wake Forest, but then, time on the East Coast and then San Jose, time on the West Coast. Then you get traded to the middle of the country. What did you think of the city of Kansas City? Like, what were your preconceived notions when you found out you were coming here?
Okay, so I had played here on the road with San Jose, and this was back before our new brand, Shiny Airport.
You got to check out that old place with the birds flying through.
Ooh, good
the
stuff.
Birds were inside, right? Yeah. I remember that.
So you land in that bright, shiny airport. That was fantastic. You'd hop on the bus and you'd go to the downtown Marriott at the time, and that drive from the airport to the downtown Marriott is uneventful,
right.
And you see absolutely nothing. And then you get to the Marriott, and it's a weekend, and downtown P&L, all that. Like, actually, we got there on a weekday. There's zero happening at downtown at that time, or probably still to this day, kind of on the weekend, or it was kind of a Friday. And so don't really see much, and you don't really have time to do that much on the road. And then, mostly stick around the hotel. Game day hits, you kind of still around the hotel, then you get back on the bus, and then you go to the stadium. And the drive from the from the hotel to the stadium, very uneventful.
Yep.
Don't see a whole lot, and then you see this bright, shiny, actually a beautiful stadium.
Right.
And the legends. Okay, that's cool. It's a new development. Something's going on here. But then you get back on the bus. You go back to the hotel. Not much is happening again downtown. You got P&L that happens at night, and that's okay. That's something. But then you get back on the bus. You get or you go back to the hotel. Then you get back on the bus. Go to the airport to fly out. Which again, and so you only see like 3 places, and in between you see absolutely nothing. And you're like, man, I could not live here.
Yeah.
I could not live here. And conversely, those, a couple years later, I get traded here, or I have the opportunity to get traded here. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Because I was looking at it from a soccer perspective. Great stadium, great fan base, a team that was in the up. Heard nothing but positive things. Peter was my style of coach, which I liked the direct, hard coaching. I liked a guy that could. Can you swear on this podcast? I don't know. Get MFE right a little bit. Like I preferred that. Like that's from a personality. That's how I grew up, and so I like that directness. And so I didn't know much about. I was like, okay, but I'm going for the soccer. I'll figure out the lifestyle when I'm there and figure it all out. And quickly found out that there are places that are good to visit and not good to live, and there are places that are not great to visit but great to live. And that for me was Kansas City. Like. I've come to love the place. And let me put this with a caveat. Unless you know someone in one of these cities who can actually show you around, which I didn't know anyone on the team at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't see much, right?
Yeah.
But coming here, living here, I went and played in Minnesota, and after my career was over, I moved back here, right? Like I had the choice to go anywhere, and I decided to come back to Kansas City. So that goes to show like my love and appreciation for Kansas City, the community, which is complicated at times for sure, but I've grown to love it. Just to be able to go from one part to the other, and the different cultures that you have within the city and the things that it offers, and especially now having a family, being able to have a little bit of that city life, but also can step away, especially where I live in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood. So I've enjoyed everything about it, the food, the people. It's right in the middle of the country, which I can get to my hometown or my wife's hometown pretty easily with the flight. So, yeah.
So the way you described it hits home with me because, and that's actually one of the big things we want to accomplish with the show. There can be hundreds of thousands of people coming to visit. And as you said, it's not the type of town that as a visitor, the fun or interesting things just are obvious to you. Mm-hmm. You need someone to show you around a little bit. And I found that out when I started working with Major League Soccer, because I work with all these other commentators that go to different cities. Mm-hmm. And whenever they come, they have a game in Kansas City, I would say, well, hey, what did you think? Well, if you land at the airport and go to your hotel, go to the game, and then go back to the airport and fly home, you're going to go, and most of them say, it's fine. The stadium's nice. Right. Yeah. But that's about it. And so I thought, man, they're not getting to appreciate the town that I love at all so I started going to pick them up and taking them to lunch somewhere. Hey, let me take you down to Arthur Bryant's and let me show you around 18th and Vine a little bit so you can learn a little bit about the interesting history of the Jazz Museum and the Negro Leagues and some of the food that we have. Or let me take you here or there. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, this town has so much more to it than I would have ever guessed. And I think that's what we want people to experience when they come here for the World Cup, right? Like, I think if people have the access to things like this and stories like this, you realize hopefully they'll get that experience. You're talking about more of a person that gets to know the city a little bit instead of just
we could add your cell phone number on the bottom of the screen.
I'll take you
Nate
around.
Bukaty Tour Guides.
Yeah.
You can take every single Argentinian fan that's going to come. I heard it's 600,000 of them. So.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: I know Sporting has struggled recently, but the Royals had a decent run for a couple of years. Obviously, the football teams had a good run. That's brought eyes to Kansas City, and I think it's definitely it's a flyover country or flyover state. Like, people don't really think about Kansas City until I think the last 5-6 years, and I think people have now come to Kansas City and wanted to see more what it's about. There are times I'm driving like, what is traffic? Like, there's traffic here. Like,
let's tone it down. We don't need any traffic in here. We don't need more people. That's the one thing I can't stand. We don't need traffic. Let's keep it that way, please, Nate.
Yeah,
the traffic here is the best of any major city.
Sure, but it's getting there.
Don't have to deal with
I could get from one end of the city to the other without any time of the day, no issues. And now I got to kind of plan when I'm going to certain parts of the city. But I digress. My point being,
I think you've gotten spoiled by the traffic here, man.
Yeah,
You go to any other
that's
big
true.
city in this
trust me,
country.
I get it. I get it, but I don't like traffic.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the reasons why I enjoyed Kansas City to begin with. There was no traffic, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, but I do think I'm seeing with the World Cup and everything. There are now, we're trying to show well for Kansas City, and I'm starting to see some marketing around the city and things to do, and I think that will only increase as the World Cup comes, because I do think that we have an opportunity to show people who aren't familiar with Kansas City from international state or international countries and even domestic states who don't maybe have a reason to come other than maybe the World Cup, that there's a lot to offer here, from history to food to obviously the sports scene, the music. So I think we have a real opportunity in front of us to really take a step forward as a city. And yeah, I'm excited to see what happens this summer.
Yeah, look, I think that if we look 2 months into the future, right, where are we in April? So 3 months into the future, once all the games have been played in Kansas City, and whether the World Cup's done or not, but the games in Kansas City are done and over with, I would be shocked if there isn't a really good vibe and positive feedback from people that came here, right? There's always going to be stories of, I went there and I didn't really get to see much. I went to the games and whatever. But I think the overall consensus is going to be, all right, Kansas City. I didn't know about Kansas City. Yeah. I know about Kansas City now. It's an interesting, place, and I had a hell of a time there during the World Cup, and I would go back there. Yeah. Right? And I think that's what's going to be, the consensus coming out of the World Cup. That's what I would expect.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously played at a World Cup, so you have that experience. It's not the same when you're playing versus when you're attending a World Cup.
Right.
I hope we're ready for it. Like, truthfully, I do. I don't know if you ever could be ready for a World Cup. Yeah. To be fair, like hosting as a city, but I hope everyone has a good experience, as good of an experience as possible. You won't be perfect with it all, but if we're able to land with a high majority of the people coming, I agree with what you said. Like, I think there'll be a lot of people who don't know about it and go, oh, okay,
right,
all right, I could see myself going back or moving there or whatever the case, or playing there if it's right. England's here for the base camp, if they bring their family over, and if they're here for weeks at a time and they get a good experience, hey, maybe when our career's over, I'll end up in Sporting Kansas City. I don't know.
I'm sure Sporting Kansas City is hoping that's the case.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for sure. They want these guys that are coming here to see the facilities and the town and talk about how great it is, and think about themselves maybe signing here someday, but also going back to their teams, right, and talking about the facilities, talking about the town.
Conversely as well, Nate, I feel like we shouldn't forget this aspect is the people of Kansas City, I feel like, are going to be wowed by what the World Cup is. I think that Kansas City got the best draw out of any city in the World Cup. U.S., Mexico, Canada, they have Argentina, the best team in the world with the best player in history, coming to Kansas City. They have England, which is another top competitor for the World Cup. They have the Netherlands, and they have Algeria. So they have 4 teams. I'd be surprised. I don't know, maybe there's 4 teams in New York and L.A.
No,
nobody's got more teams than we do, and the high caliber teams as well. And then there's the aspect of there's a lot of good group games here, obviously with Argentina being here. And then there's the potential. And if this hits, I think it's going to be the biggest game of the century, if not the millennium, if not of all time, where if Ronaldo and Portugal get to the quarterfinals against Messi and Argentina, I mean, that game is insane. And so for the people of Kansas City that maybe there's a small minority, I think, that are big Sporting Kansas City fans and that have Premier League teams that they follow and are really in love with the sport. Maybe they have some sort of understanding of what to expect, but the vast majority of the population, I think, have no idea what's coming. And I do think that they can be wowed to an extent where now they have an interest of, let me support my local team and let me get to know about the sport a little bit more and let my family get to digest this sport a little bit more, whether it's playing, whether it's watching. And so I do think that aspect of it is going to be big as well.
Yeah, agreed. I don't even know what's coming. I am soccer. Right. I'm in soccer, and
Same.
I'm honestly more excited to go to all the events and drive around than any games. And maybe it's because I played soccer my whole life and all that stuff. But I enjoy being in Kansas City, and I want to see what it does for the city. So there are going to be times I'm going to be doing no reason driving. I'm just going to be driving through downtown, the plaza, all these places, just to see
people watching.
Yeah, just to see what the vibe is, the energy, What's going on? Like, I'm excited for that.
So my journey with soccer is so different than you guys because you guys both grew up with it. I played it at a youth level as a little kid, you know, how the typical American kind of experience. And then I was out of my life for a while and played in high school as like an activity to get in shape. You know, we didn't even have a real coach. But it was the World Cup 2006 that took me from a guy who liked soccer to a guy who was obsessed with it to the point where I directed my entire career towards it. And it was the magic of the World Cup. And a lot of it for me was I'm learning about the world through this game. You know, I loved the idea that, okay, all these different countries have their own cultures and their ideas about the way the game is played, and I'm learning about their cultures through watching the sport and then watching the stories about them. And I think that for a lot of Americans and a lot of Kansas Cityans, when you just mentioned these countries, I mean, no other city has more than one Pot 1 team calling their home their town base camp. But to have three giants like that, and Algeria is a big country as well, but in terms of Pot 1 teams, Netherlands.
They're all Pot 1 teams.
Yeah, Argentina and England are at that level, like the type of teams that you could say legitimately could go win the World Cup. And what different fan bases they have, what different cultures they have, their outlook on the sport and the history behind it is so different that I think if that permeates the city, that will make a lot of fans, or Kansas Cityans, more curious, right? Like, I just think when you see the Netherlands fans and the way they march to a game and the fun-loving nature that they have versus the England kind of like, we're going to blow it even though we think we're great type of attitude that seems to kind of permeate, you know, like there's this, I don't know, you guys tell me, but I feel like that type of thing is going to infect the city. Like, I think we're going to feel like we're getting to know so much more about the world by these people being here.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I agree with Ike too. I don't know exactly what to expect, and that's probably a beautiful thing. I hope. Look, there's always going to be some when there's this many people coming into the city that aren't from the city and are of different cultures and passions or different whatever. There's going to be little things that are maybe misunderstood or that could maybe be seen as, we could have done without that. And I hope that nobody takes that, too personally because, people get into party mode and who knows what happens. But I think the vast majority of the people that are coming here, the fans, the people that are coming from different countries, Americans that are going to come to Kansas City to watch games, I think it's going to be a massive, beautiful party in our city, and I hope that there's a really good relationship between our city and the people that are coming to visit.
So, one of the things that I hear from people that travel for the World Cup is the biggest thing that we can do as a city to make people enjoy it is be as authentically Kansas City as we can. In other words, like I've been told, look, if you're coming here from Argentina, you're not going to be looking for an Argentinian steakhouse to eat at. You want to eat some Kansas City food. Right. You want to sample the local culture. So I'm kind of curious, both of you guys, as transplants that now call this place home, what maybe is a thing or two that's like, this is Kansas City. This, I mean, obviously, I feel like barbecue stands at the top of the list, but maybe even outside of that, something that you feel like represents the hometown and what people would be like, oh, I had an authentic Kansas City experience by doing this or being a part of this.
I think I'm going to take something my wife would say, and it's going to be playing, I think, around the same time. And so Hot Country Nights, going out to Power and Light and seeing a country concert in Kansas City, I think that'd be a whole lot of fun for a lot of people that maybe don't even know what country music is, but just that atmosphere of standing up, watching a small kind of venue, but it's free for the most part. I think those Hot Country Nights, or maybe they're cheap. And so to be able to go to one of those and kind of experience what, a bunch of cowboys and cowgirls are doing with hats and all that kind of stuff while dancing to music, I think that'd be pretty Kansas Cityan.
Dang.
Were you going to take that?
No, I mean, when you took off barbecue off the list, I'm really struggling because what I identify as Kansas City is like hard to measure, truthfully. Like I feel like it's, you have pride about the city. You work hard, you show up, you try to do the right things, right? Like, I don't know, just like Midwest values, I guess, right? Like, and so if I was trying to look at it from a like a tourist perspective, it would be something along the lines of, I do think that we have some beautiful architecture, and it drastically differs from the River Market all the way to Overland Park, right? And so I think being able to look at museums or Union Station, whatever the case, or World War I Memorial, like we have just a lot of artifacts that are kind of scattered throughout the city. And I think kind of embracing that. Like if I look at it from my perspective, if I think about Kansas City, it is kind of random.
Yeah. Like, it's all over the map.
Like it is, right?
Yeah.
And so I, if there's a way that they can, anyone visiting can appreciate the randomness and be like, wait, why is that there? Let me go explore what that is. I think that's like, would be pretty cool. And that's what it is to be Kansas City, in my opinion, right? And it's weird. Am I considering myself Kansas City?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I do to some degree.
Yeah, I do, for sure. But like, if I'm saying I and we, the pronouns, like, I'm owning this.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think that's a part of it, right? Like, I don't know. So going to the West Bottoms, there are things to do there randomly. And sometimes you're like, why is this even here?
Yeah.
It's just like in the East Bottoms, like what an adventure you can get on when you're in the East Bottoms.
You go to Knuckleheads and Jay Rieger and company. Like the first time I went there on the way, I'm like, where is this GPS taking me right now? And I've lived in this town my whole life. But then you get there and you learn the history of prohibition and this being kind of the center point for so many different things with westward expansion in this country, and the spirits trade being one of them, and that being brought back. I think that is really true. And I think, the more people can kind of get to those different random spots, that is one of the things that really stands out. All right, we're going to get to our five-a-side here in a minute. I want to talk a little soccer with you guys before we do this, because there is also the World Cup itself to be played. So where do you stand on what we're expecting from the U.S. men's national team in this World Cup?
Benny's speechless.
Random. I think it's hard to tell because they've had some ups and downs in very recent time, right? The last couple games were.
I was gonna say the hard thing is they're playing very good teams, and so when they get the downs, they're playing the best teams of the world.
Yeah, well, their group isn't going to be the best teams, right? They're playing Paraguay, who's average. Help me out. New Zealand, who's below average.
Boy, the Australians will fight you for saying that.
Michael Boxall tried to murder me a million times in Minnesota.
New Zealand?
Because I would always say Australian on accident. And then it became on purpose, and then he actually took offense to it, so I had to chill out.
I wouldn't want to fight him.
Yeah, he's a strong dude.
Yeah, he is very strong. Wait, Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey. So Turkey we played recently and lost, correct?
Yep, in a friendly,
Lost in a friendly, whatever, 6-9 months ago. I forget exactly when that was. So that should be not an easy game by any means. Australia, we played them as well, and we beat them, if I remember correctly, in Colorado.
Yep.
And we should be the favorites, and it would be a big non-win if we don't win that game. And Paraguay I think we're also favorites, but their South American teams are always tough to play against. They're clever. They're technically sound. They have a couple of players that can beat you. I think look, it's every top 2 team makes it through, plus the 8 best third-place teams. It would be criminal if the U.S. doesn't make it through the group round. But if they don't finish in first, they probably get a pretty tough game in the round of 32. So I think the expectation is they finish first, they get through the round of 32 against a team that they should be superior to, and the round of 16, I think, is at best a 50-50. It depends on the draw. I mean, you could get somebody really good that you're now an underdog. You could get somebody that you're the favorite. I don't even know which one would be best at that point for the U.S. But that's where I think you draw the over-under, is them, can they get past the round of 16 or not? But look, I mean, I could see a world where they stumble against those 3 teams. None of them are gimmies, right? There's no real gimmies. I mean, Australia is a weaker team, but they have that fight. They have that pride. I mean,
there's no gimmies in soccer anymore, period. With the tactical.
Australia almost took out Argentina last year when they were down 2-0, came back and tied it, right? Or did they almost tie it?
Well, didn't Saudi Arabia beat Argentina in the last
first game?
Yeah, the first game.
I mean, there are no gimmies.
No, there are no gimmies.
You can that's kind of one of the ways the game has gone. You can make up for a lack of talent and things if you just have good tactical structure, as opposed to 10, 15 years ago. So every game will be difficult. I just find it a little sad that I don't have a lot of confidence. Like, all the scenarios that Benny just said, that could happen. And that is the goal. Like, it would be criminal if we didn't get out of the group. But I can't unequivocally say, yes, we are going to do this or that. I'm just hopeful. And that's a terrible spot to be in for a fan.
And forget about the opponents. Like, think about just the U.S. in the last year and a half. They've been incredibly inconsistent, where there's been times where they've looked terrible, and then there's been times where they've looked really good, right? And against top teams or lower teams and whatever, everything in between. And so it's hard to know where they're going to be, right? A year ago, we were saying Pulisic was scoring every goal for AC Milan. Now he can't get a goal. And now, Weston McKennie's the leading goal scorer for the national team. And then there's like 3 or 4 different forwards that could be taken apart. And now Ajaman gets hurt, and now he's out. And so, like, there's so many, like, moving pieces as well. And I don't know, man. It's
at least with those teams, especially when you were playing and probably after, there was a core that
very
you could
much so
feel good about. And there's kind of a core with this group, but you kind of don't feel good about them.
There's never been a time where any of the players on the current national team have really played in really important tournaments together and have shown consistency.
Sure.
They played in one World Cup, right? Because we didn't play in 2018. And then in 2022, they played in one World Cup where I think it was, right? It was
It was like they met expectations and
kind of.
Yeah, like
they
got
tied
out
Wales,
of the group.
right? They tied. Was it Wales that they tied first? Mm-hmm. And then who did they play the second game? And I know they beat Iran, I think, in the last game.
Right?
Was it England?
If I remember correctly, I think
so. They lost to England and then beat Iran. They needed to beat Iran, and they won 1-0, I think, and then they lost to the Netherlands, I think it was. Something like that. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I've never seen them go through together with the core group that you're talking about, which would include, like, the Pulisics, McKennies, Robinson, whatever. I know I'm missing guys. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there's like 6, 7, 8 guys that you feel pretty confident that are at least starters in this World Cup that have played in maybe the past World Cup or in big games. I mean, when have they shown consistency at a high level in a high impact moment? You haven't, so you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird cycle ever since that World Cup because there was no qualification process. Mm-hmm. So you didn't have to play any matches that really mattered when it came to the qualification windows. And so that also meant that it seemed like when you were playing matches competitions like the Gold Cup, the most recent one, it wasn't during an official window, so you don't have your best players necessarily in because they're still playing with their national teams. You go through a coaching upheaval and all the controversy that happened with Berhalter, and then he was back, and then they make the change. Pochettino's been kind of experimenting ever since, so there doesn't seem to be a clear sense of identity. And I do think that was one thing that U.S. always seemed to have before. Maybe not the best players. I think players that don't get enough credit for how good they actually were, but not the best players. But there was an identity. I feel like you knew who the United States were and how they were going to try to win most times. And right now, I think we're all kind of just waiting to see what it's going to look like. Is that a fair way to look at it?
I think so.
Yeah. No argument from me.
But the national team is a different animal because you don't practice for 2 months together and get training down. I mean, you kind of get together, you throw the team together, and you go out and play. Can they do that? You know what I mean? Can they just like...
Yeah, but it's kind of like one of those random events, too, where a spark is lit. I mean, I could tell you it's not as random, but the moment that I think we had the best come together of a national team when I played was in the Confederations Cup. We lost the first game to Italy 3-1. We lost in a really bad way to Brazil 3-0 in the second game. And by some miracle, we still had a chance to get through, which was by literally beating Egypt 3-0 by 3 goals. And Brazil needed to beat Italy 3-0 by 3 goals. And it happened in the last group game, and we snuck in with 3 points as a second-place finisher in that group. But something in that Egypt game changed where we figured out exactly how we wanted to play. We figured out how to minimize any strengths the other team had and how to maximize ours. And we then did it against the best team in the world in Spain. Mm-hmm. And then we did it for 45 minutes against probably the second best team in the world in Brazil. And so can that possibly happen? Can they find exactly what sets them up in the best scenario, yes, but it's going to be kind of like a random. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen the consistency of it, so it's not like we can feel super great about it. But can it happen? Sure. It's a short tournament. Can you play your best soccer in a month and a half? And
yeah, I would say this. You're spot on. But I was thinking about it. So this is a fan perspective. You've coached. I've coached. Pochettino's coached at a much higher level for much longer. I think in the back of his mind, he knows whatever he sets out for that World Cup, that he has to get a little bit lucky the first game or two. And by that meaning, the players figure it out, right? Like, there's a little bit of a luck component with everything. And so if the players, even if you don't tactically have the best idea or the right, structure for everything, if the players just do it for, some unforeseen, some God-spoken reason, I have no idea. Like you said, Benny, like something clicked. If something just clicks, that in itself can take you on a run. And I bet there's a little part of him that's thinking like, okay, I hope we can get that spark, that first game or the second or whatever it is, and then we have a good run. Because I don't think there's no way he could have an idea what he wants to, how he wants to play, who he wants to play from, the tune-up games all the way through the last group game. I think he has a general framework, but I think he needs a little bit of that, like, that luck component, right?
And look, I don't want to undersell our team in 2009 as well, because, and Bob would kill me, by the way, if I undersold it, but we were very tactically organized and aware of who we were. Right?
Yeah.
And
yes.
it wasn't like it just happened, like dumb luck, right? Yes, you need some luck. Sports in general, you need some luck. But I do think that we were set up in a way to find that clicking component where I don't really know if our team right now is in that place, like that level of like, hey, we're one click away from finding exactly what kind of team we want to be. And so, it's going to be interesting to see. Hopefully the fact that the World Cup is in America, you're going to have your fans, and there's maybe just that added boost. I'm going to give everything, right? And when everybody gives everything, that sometimes is just enough to maybe help you find that little clicking moment a little bit better. But we haven't seen it, so it's hard to feel confident about it. That's for sure.
You're grasping, like you're like, oh, I'm hoping as a fan, I'm hoping, right? Like, and so. We'll see. I agree.
And it's the hope that kills, as we know.
Yeah, that's an English phrase. And in America, where all rebellions were built on hope. That's what we say here.
Until you coach. And then you're like, doesn't matter what nationality you are.
Drained out of these guys. All right. We're going to move on to our little game we play here. I call five aside, taking off of the way the little pickup type of games you can play. And we're going to do a draft where we pick five things. We're each going to come up with our 5-person squad. This week's topic, since we've got what Benny says is the greatest center back, in MLS history over here, even though at one point he thought you were terrible and couldn't kick a ball straight. We're going to
all be wrong from time to time.
Yeah,
we're F around and find out. That's what happened. He didn't know. It's not his fault. He didn't know.
We're gonna go center backs by different leagues. So we're each going to have to pick our center back from a specific league, and then we'll see who's got the best 5-person squad at that point. So we'll go MLS, Serie A in Italy, La Liga in Spain, Premier League, and then U.S. men's national team. All right, so we're going to let you go first. We'll go this way and then back around.
Who's first? Ike?
Ike's going to go
I'm
first.
the middle. Okay.
And you're in the middle each time.
Snake draft.
Snake draft.
Back
and
old days,
we'll
man.
start with Major League Soccer. Who's your pick?
So I got 2, and I'm hoping I can store this one away for when it comes down for
National team?
Yeah.
Oh.
You better not give it to us then. Yeah.
So
You're giving a lot of information.
Yeah.
I thought about, because you did prep me on this. It's the only thing I knew coming into this, so I wanted to come prepared. I'm going to choose this guy, and I'm going to have a little story tied behind it for MLS. So it's going to be Chad Marshall.
Oh, I thought he was going to go with himself.
Yeah.
No.
All right, that's easy. Then I'll go with him.
Wait.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I'm choosing Chad Marshall.
Yeah.
Okay.
This may have been the greatest compliment I ever received. So one of my rookie year, first 5 or 6 games, whatever, played Columbus Crew when he was on the Crew. He was marking me on a corner kick, And the first corner kick, he's marking me. I'm like, I'm gonna shake him. Like he can't stick with me. He grabs me with both of his big paw hands on the shoulders and shakes me in the middle of the box. Like I'm doing this. Like I'm not even moving. I can't even run. And corner kick comes in and I'm like, did I just get shaken? And like, what just happened? So the next corner kick comes. I'm like, all right, that's not happening again. Like that was embarrassing. So I'm like, I'm going to dart early. I know my spot. I'm going to get there. He clotheslines me in the throat. And this is like kind of one of my moments, like like they say the welcome to your soccer moment.
Yeah.
That was it for me. And so fast forward 11 years later, he's on Seattle. I'm in Minnesota. I score a set piece on him. Like he couldn't stand me. And at that point, he actually told Saad Abdul Salam, he goes, Saad, you're marking him. I'm not taking him.
This is at Columbus.
This is in Seattle. When he's there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Saad went to Seattle.
And so Saad marked me the rest of the game. Saad couldn't.
Yeah.
That
was a bad choice.
It was a bad choice.
tall,
but Chad was over.
yeah.
Chad was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
After the game, Chad came up to me. He goes, man, you were an absolute beast. Like I couldn't do it anymore. And I'm like, in that moment, I like recalled him shaking me in the box, clotheslining me in the box at Buckshaw Stadium when I was in San Jose. And I thought, wow, I've made it. Like I think he's one of the best, if not the best defender ever. And he's telling me I'm a beast. And he wanted nothing to do with me. Like respect. So Chad Marshall, that's my number one.
All right, I'll take Ike Opara, who beasted Chad Marshall in the story you just mentioned before.
I broke my nose on that play too, which was not worth it.
Well, you found your revenge in Seattle.
It wasn't worth it, but
Chad Marshall's a great pick. Ike's a decent pick. I'm going Eddie Pope.
Okay.
That's tough because now he's off my national team roster. You know, we're gonna have to dig a
That's
little
smart,
deeper
though.
for the national team. Yeah.
Did you think that was
about him?
maybe?
He was on my short list, and going a little old school, but Eddie
I
Pope
think he's
to
the
me
GOAT.
is a legendary.
Like, Chad, yes, but if it was a different time.
I have to confess something on this. He was really before my time watching the league very closely.
Sure.
My opinions on Eddie Pope are everything that I've heard every great player say about him. You know, like talking to guys like Tony Meola and Charlie Davies and people like that. Like when they, to me, when I hear you guys talk about another player, that's going to inform my opinion even more than what I think of watching him. Because it's the same thing. It's like, oh, I didn't want to play against him.
Yeah.
And I've just never heard anybody say anything but like ultimate respect for Eddie Pope. So. He just kind of got a legendary status from me.
I didn't think it would become. That's bad. I'm angry.
So we're coming back around, and we're going Serie A next.
I thought it was Prem.
Oh, is it Prem? Is it Prem? Okay, you
On
got
the list here, it's Prem.
Good. That'll give me some more time to think about my Serie A. That's probably my weakest.
I think I know who I'm going with.
Okay.
Here. I hope
Premier
you don't
League.
pick him.
I'm an Arsenal fan, so I got to go Tony Adams. I'm taking Tony Adams. He's my guy. That's probably a biased thing, but he's.
Is Arsenal going to do it
the
this year?
all-time greats.
They're not gonna
Let's
do
not
it.
talk
They're
about
not
that.
gonna do it. Somehow they're gonna do it.
I texted him
do you
recently.
mean blow it again?
Yeah,
because
Well,
probably.
they're actively blowing everything else right now. So
So
pretty soon you're going to be left only with a Prem.
Yeah, I don't want to get off script, but yeah.
Yeah. But Tony Adams won the league a couple times, so I think he gets a little extra credit.
Well, let's just hope Arsenal doesn't blow it today, because that would be next level if you blow a 1-0 lead against Sporting at home. So
possible.
I will go with a Man U that I grew up watching
I think I know
at
who
the top. No, do you? Because it's one of two. I'm not going with the English guy.
You're gonna go with
Nemanja Vidic.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. I was going to say Rio.
Trick me up and go with Jaap Stam or something. That's who I wanted, was Vidic.
No, I mean, I grew up watching the Prem when Man U were the team, and it was him and Rio Ferdinand, and Nemanja was just like the prototypical defender, just aerially really good, both set piece, defensive and offensive, was like no frills, like didn't take chances, was a good communicator. I really liked watching him play, so I'll go with Vidic.
I've been robbed twice now. I should say John Terry, but I will not.
I think it's like a lot of people I just don't want to take John Terry.
Yeah, I can't do it. I see his face too, and it's just like smug and. Ledley King, another what if, reminds me of myself a little bit. I won't go with him, so I'll go with Rio. I had to just shut him out, so it's got to be Rio, I guess.
Okay. What league are we at next, Benny?
We are in La Liga.
La Liga. Spain.
Easy. Now that I'm the head of this round, it's Mr. Ramos. Simple.
Right.
Like I don't think it's a debate.
He could maybe also one of the dirtiest players.
I like a little nasty.
You want a little nasty on center back.
Yeah,
the guy that's going to clothesline you when you're taking the
maybe
corner.
whip a shank out of your out of your shingle or your
Okay.
shot. Well, I think that's missing in defending now. Not necessarily. I don't need some of the to the degree that he went at times, but like I think a little nasty is missing with just defense in general.
You can't deny the winner and like some of the biggest moments in the biggest games. That's one of the things I think about with
scored goals and
I mean, he's still playing in Mexico, right?
Yep.
And he's still finding moments to score either on set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I know the penalty
Penalties,
kick
like,
against what's our crazy goalie friend from Tigres.
I don't know. Yeah,
Did you see this video of him taking a penalty and him looking backwards?
yeah.
Sergio's like, I'm gonna Panenka. And you're like, he actually, I don't know what's gonna happen.
All right, so La Liga, right? I was in between two, but I'm actually not gonna go with any Madrid or Barcelona. I'm gonna go with Diego Godin, Uruguayan, used to play at Atletico Madrid. Also, no frills. I mean, you could tell. I like give me a defender that defends.
Defend.
Just block the dang goal and don't let him in. And I don't need you to be all the fancy. Let the midfielders do the fancy passing. Diego Godin was just a warrior. He played for Uruguay as well and always had that kind of mentality about him. So I'll go with him.
If you play for the Uruguayan national team, you're physical. You're going to get stuck in. You're going to play defense. There's no doubt about that. I'm stuck in between two Barcelona center backs who played together. Honestly, I have a really tough time picking between Piqué and Puyol.
They both got dribbled by one Benny Feilhaber in 2009 Confederations Cup.
High five, man.
They're off the list.
See?
They're off the list.
That really
It was
should.
the Confederations Cup, though, you know.
Eric Abidal, come on down.
Man, I was feeling really good about my picks until Benny told me that happened. Now
I'll
I'm
show you the
struggling with
video.
it.
It might be might take him off the list
Who's
altogether.
better in your mind, Puyol or Piqué?
different.
You know,
I find Puyol better.
Yeah, I agree. But they're different. Like,
Puyol was kind of known as like the emotional leader of that team in many ways.
I just think that you look at Puyol and he's more of a unique type of player. Like he's kind of like the Godin where he's like he's going to be the leader. He's the guy that didn't fit in with anybody else on that team, and he made sure that they didn't, slack off defensively or do things stupid just because they're so clean. Where Piqué is, I mean, you put a guy that can play, with the ball on that team, and I feel like he's going to look pretty close to Piqué.
It's funny because I was leaning Piqué because I think of him more as a Barcelona player in terms of like the way they played the game. Puyol, I always
for
felt
that
like
time period.
Yeah,
Like,
for that time period. But that
Puyol-
time period
Puyol
had a
probably
long
plays on more
history.
teams
I think
around the world.
Barcelona could use a Puyol right about now.
Yeah. I was like, Puyol
you guys
plays-
talking me too. I'm taking Puyol instead of Piqué.
And that hair too. Right?
Yeah, I mean that. I always kind of felt like he got more credit because of the hair made him stand out. He just kind
Well,
of.
there's a
seemed
theory.
More,
Yeah, the hair, and if you look
Yeah.
better, like you get more chances when you play soccer. It's kind of a fascinating theory. Which is
Alexi Lala's theory.
Yeah. Well, on that note, what we got next? We got
next is Serie A. We're finally at Serie A. Serie A for me is tough, man.
Well, there's a guy I should have gone with. Well, I'm probably gonna give Nate the answer if I
no.
that I could have used for La Liga.
There's a guy. Well,
Serie A was easy.
I'm going to say.
I mean,
for Serie A, I'm going to say Cannavaro.
So that was.
Cannavaro.
I dislike you.
That's who you're going with?
Well, I was gonna say
But
that
you respect me.
I do respect you.
I think
You know what?
I don't
You know
need
where
your
we
friendship.
stand.
I need your respect.
that's what I'll say about Cannavaro. I think Cannavaro had one hell of a World Cup. And was it 2006, I think, right?
He won a Ballon d'Or, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
As
gonna use
they
him for
won
La
the World
Liga,
Cup.
but that's why I pivoted.
I think he's the last defender to ever win Ballon d'Or. So to
Really?
me, I feel pretty good about that one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with a much better defender than Frank Cannavaro, and I'm going to go with Maldini.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Dude, Italy has always been, at least not so recently, but they've always been like the top defensive country.
Because no one defends anymore.
I know, but they used to.
Yeah, well,
So
yeah,
that's
even
why
the
it's
great
hard.
Countries don't defend
You
anymore.
look at Serie A now; it's hard
Yeah.
to come up with like a top defender.
It's a
Whereas back then, it was like where all the top defenders used to play:
Mm-hmm.
Inter Milan and AC Milan, Juventus, and so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right, Maldini.
Nesta.
That's
Yeah.
I want a Maldini, but I'll settle for Nesta.
I was wondering if you might go with Chiellini,
Just to keep with the no
LAFC
frills.
family and all that stuff too.
Chiellini. So Chiellini for me it's funny. Like I talked about like the Puyol and Nemanja Vidic, who was my other, Godin. Chiellini was always the guy that I felt like got too much credit. Right? I felt like, yeah, okay, he works hard, he gives it, but dude, there's some things missing in his game that I wish, like for him to get as much credit as he did, I feel like he needed a little bit more, but that doesn't mean that I didn't think he was a really high quality player. I just thought sometimes he felt slightly overrated.
Because of the teams he was on, maybe he got...
Maybe, and
And he's a lovable guy.
that's what
Yeah.
I think
He's like
that's what I've grown to know is that he's an awesome guy in the locker room, and I think everybody really wanted him on their team, and I think that also boosted him up to some degree, which it should in a team sport. So, but not Chiellini. I went with Maldini.
All right, so now national team is all that's left, right?
National.
Okay, back to you, Ike.
So no Eddie Pope available.
Oh yeah, I can't unsee Gooch, but I don't want Gooch. I want more. I want more. But Gooch is a great play. Like
Gooch had.
if he didn't get hurt too, man.
That's the other thing with Gooch. Gooch had some unbelievable time periods. I mean, back in my day, he was the guy that went and played at the highest club level.
Yeah.
Right now, we got guys playing in great teams. He went to AC Milan when, man, there was no Americans that played at that high of a level. So he had. I mean, he was at the top of the game, but he also had those injuries, and he had moments where he wasn't playing as well because of probably some of those injuries. Yeah.
Come back to me. I don't want.
He's skipping. He's giving me his pet.
All right, he's passing. So the whole pool is open except for Eddie Pope.
That's right. I mean, look, I
There's
think
a couple other ones.
I think I'm drawn to my time period of playing with the national team because I knew those players and I know what kind of defenders they were, what kind of people they were in the locker room, and so I get drawn to Carlos.
I knew it.
So I'll go with Bocanegra.
Yeah.
But look, there's players nowadays, and it's hard. It's such a different game. It's like less defensive oriented. I think Chris Richards is a really good defender. I think he can bring some quality, not only on the offensive end on set pieces, but obviously in the defensive end. And I think he's had a really good couple of seasons with Crystal Palace, winning trophies even. But I don't know if anybody in this time period is as good as a defender, how I prototypically think a defender should play, as the guys playing in my day or even potentially earlier, like an Eddie Pope or other guys that played in that time. But I'll go with Carlos.
You know where I'm going.
Alexi Lalas, aren't you? You're going to say Alexi, aren't you?
Not quite. All due respect, nothing but respect. This is going to be way off the map for everybody else, but I'm going Bees.
Beasler.
Matt Beasler, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Guy started every single game for a team that survived the group of death. That iconic picture of him standing over Cristiano Ronaldo, and I thought marshaled him incredibly well that entire time when he was at his prime and he was locked in. He didn't play at the club level in those other countries, but I think that was as much about circumstances as it was his ability to play. Good on the ball. Responsible, always where he was supposed to be, and kind of a steady presence. So, and it's a personal thing too. But I'm taking Beasler.
Back to me.
Yeah.
Who was Bees' partner? I'm trying to remember.
In the national team?
Yeah.
Sometimes Cameron.
Omar sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes Omar. Omar's to me like a person you could consider. I mean, you could talk about Clarence Goodson. I'm trying to give you some names here. You can talk about Tim Ream.
I got a couple.
You're Clarence Goodson, Tim Ream. Who else did you just say?
Tony
Omar
Sana.
Gonzalez, as the best defender in national team history? No.
It's not gonna,
those guys don't fit into that conversation, in my opinion.
We'll give it. I mean,
Omar Gonzalez could go into the conversation of best center back in MLS history, but not national team history.
I wish it was fullbacks for this one.
But it's not.
I know.
You're going to have to make a pick.
And you'd be trading Sergio Ramos for Marcelo. Who you bringing? Steve Trundolo?
That's who
I mean, Trundolo is a great
It's hard for me
pick.
to get. I'd make him a center back if I could.
The new Cannavaro, but shorter.
I'll stick with Gooch. Okay. I'm okay with Gooch.
I think that's a pretty good shout. That's going to do it for the show. Ike, thanks for joining us, man.
Wait. Do people vote on these five sides?
So
okay.
I always win the votes. So
yeah.
Well,
did I win? Did I win the What was it? The last one, the concert? Did I win that one?
I don't remember. I don't know if we've got the votes.
I mean,
in on that yet.
mine was like categorically better, so I can't imagine.
I
that
had
didn't-
Wu-Tang Clan on mine, so I don't see how anybody.
Of course
can,
you did.
I don't see how anybody could beat me.
Probably had Bone Thugs and Harmony. And
Well,
I don't even know
opening
what
for
the
Wu-Tang Clan, so
Are they really?
yes.
Oh wow.
I didn't
Yes.
even know that. I was like, see, I don't even know what the genre was, but I could just see that's who you probably would go with.
Of course.
Tech Nine, Casey.
On that note, Tech Nine's touring with E40 right now. By the way,
Why do you know this stuff?
Is
Why
E40
wouldn't
the Oakland Roots guy?
E4, yeah.
Oakland.
E4 from the Bay Area.
He just
yeah.
played.
my
Oakland
top
Roots
five
always
all
have.
time,
Blow the whistle. Don't play that in the Bay Area. Things were shut down. I learned that up there. It will.
Ike's going to give us top 5 Bay Area rap artists next time he comes on the show. But we do want you to get online and weigh in. We want your comments. We want you to know what you think of the picks we had. Any other feedback that you can give us. Like, subscribe, tell everybody about it. This is Heart and Goal. Our co-host Benny Feilhaber, Ike Opara joining us today as well. And we will see you next time.